Former Formula One World Champion Jacques Villeneuve has sparked debate across the paddock following his candid assessment of Oscar Piastri's dramatic Azerbaijan Grand Prix weekend. According to Villeneuve, the McLaren driver's crash has burst his bubble in a manner reminiscent of the pressures that test even the sport's most decorated champions, including Max Verstappen. Villeneuve argued that while Piastri's misfortunes in Baku were glaring, they are not entirely uncommon for any driver, no matter their talent or early season form. Every strong driver can have a flop weekend, Villeneuve said. The real measure comes during the recovery period, when you have to dig deep and prove that a single disastrous event doesn't define your championship bid. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix proved to be a calamitous weekend for McLaren racing, arguably their worst in over 2 years. Championship leader Piastri suffered a string of errors, culminating in a first-lap collision that left his race in ruins. His teammate Lando Norris was unable to capitalise on Piastri's misfortune, leaving the points gap to the top of the drivers' standings largely intact. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen seized the opportunity to close the championship deficit, winning successive races to reduce Piastri's lead from 104 to 69 points. The consistency of Red Bull Racing's RB21 under pressure contrasts sharply with McLaren's current vulnerability. Villeneuve believes Verstappen is now in an ideal position to apply extreme pressure on both McLaren drivers and their team. It was a very bad show, both from Piastri and Norris, but especially from Piastri, Villeneuve explained. He seemed on edge all weekend, erratic from Friday practice onwards, mistakes in qualifying, a grid error and then a first-lap incident. It was uncharacteristic for someone who had been performing at such a high level. Villeneuve also noted that Piastri's predicament may stem from the intense pressure of leading the championship. Being the hunted, the target is a very difficult weight to carry, he said. It clearly affected him this weekend, which is unusual given his normally composed nature. Compared to Norris, Piastri didn't lose many points, but another weekend like this, and the pressure compounds exponentially. Despite the setbacks, Villeneuve stresses that one disastrous weekend does not define a driver's season. Piastri's crash shows that his bubble was a little burst, but these things happen, he added. Even Max Verstappen has had weekends where performance didn't go to plan. It's not the end of the story. The key is how a driver recovers. Interestingly, Villeneuve pointed out that Baku's issues were not limited to Piastri alone. The curious thing is that both drivers and the team underperformed, he said. It wasn't just one aspect the car lacked sparkle, and Norris, while avoiding a collision, failed to maximise qualifying and race performance. It was a disappointing weekend across the board. What will ultimately determine the championship's trajectory is how Piastri responds to this setback. Villeneuve emphasised that champions are defined not by their missteps, but by their capacity to rebound. Piastri is usually an immovable force, a block of composure. Can he return to that state now that he's been tested? That's the question for McLaren fans and the paddock alike. As the season progresses, the spotlight will remain firmly on Piastri. His ability to recover mentally and perform under pressure may well decide whether he can maintain his lead or whether Verstappen will exploit the slightest chink in the young Australian's armour. The tension is palpable, and one thing is certain: the Formula One Championship is far from settled. Beyond the immediate damage to Piastri's championship bid, Azerbaijan may have exposed cracks in McLaren's strategic approach under pressure. Observers noted that pit wall decisions appeared tentative, with the team struggling to optimise tyre strategy for both drivers. Villeneuve suggested that such misjudgments could magnify individual driver errors, creating a compounding effect that Verstappen has expertly avoided. Psychologically, the impact on Piastri cannot be underestimated. Leading the championship at such a young age brings enormous scrutiny, and Baku may represent the first real test of his mental resilience. Villeneuve pointed out that while Piastri has often been lauded for his cool, analytical approach, the weekend in Azerbaijan demonstrated that even the most composed talents can feel the weight of expectation when results turn sour. Conversely, Verstappen's response to Baku underscores why he is regarded as one of the most complete drivers on the grid. While Piastri struggled, Verstappen capitalized, extracting maximum performance from his car and demonstrating an almost clinical ability to convert opportunity into points. Villeneuve hinted that this is precisely what makes Red Bull such a formidable opponent, the consistency and ruthlessness of their lead driver under pressure. For McLaren, the challenge is twofold: restoring Piastri's confidence while maintaining the momentum of Norris, whose own performance was subpar yet could be crucial in a tight championship battle. Villeneuve emphasized that the dynamics between teammates will be key in the coming races, particularly as Verstappen continues to close the gap. Team cohesion, communication, and strategic clarity will be just as important as raw pace.